Venezuela's ousted president, Nicolás Maduro, is appearing this hour in a New York court to face drug and weapons charges. Earlier, the deposed leader and his wife, Cilia Flores, were transferred together to a courthouse in Manhattan. The couple, along with their son and three others, are accused of working with drug cartels to bring cocaine into the U.S. They face maximum sentences of life in prison if convicted. And following events for us in New York is our Washington Bureau Chief, Ines Pohl. Ines, good to see you. So we've got Maduro at the courthouse now. Tell us a little bit about the case against him. What charges is he facing and what kind of trial can we expect?
Right, but we just learned that Barry Pollack will be representing Maduro, and why is this interesting? Because he also represented Julian Assange. So Maduro is charged alongside his wife, as you just said, his son and three others, and he's facing 4 counts, including narco-terrorism conspiracy, cocaine importation conspiracy, and weapons-related offenses. The U.S. prosecutors allege Maduro that he worked with major drug traffickers to move large quantities of cocaine into the United States, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio has referred to him as the head of the so-called cartel de los soles, though many experts actually dispute that label, saying Venezuela's criminal networks differ very much from traditional cartels as we know them from Mexico, for example. Legal experts also say that it could take more than a year before that case goes to trial.
That's right. We could be talking about this in 2027. What about Maduro's wife, Cilia Flores? What is she being accused of?
Right, so prosecutors accuse Cilia Flores of accepting hundreds of thousands of dollars in bribes to arrange a meeting between a large-scale drug trafficker and the head, and that's interesting, of Venezuela's National Anti-Drug Office. They allege Flores and Maduro that they worked together for years to traffic cocaine that had previously been seized by Venezuelan law enforcement. According to the indictment I just read this morning, the couple relied on state-backed gangs to protect their operation and ordered kidnappings, beatings, and even murders against those who threatened their drug network. And Brent, I also want to mention here that the International Criminal Court is also investigating the Venezuelan government for alleged crimes, including torture, sexual violence, and arbitrary detentions.
Well, for more now, I want to bring in Ankush Khardori. He's a lawyer based in Washington, D.C. He's also a former federal prosecutor. Ankush, it's good to have you with us. Let me ask you, how does a federal prosecutor handle this case? I mean, you have the leader of a foreign country who was ripped out of his bed in his home country, and he's now in a U.S. courtroom. How do you begin to prosecute him?
You know, we haven't really encountered anything like this, to my mind, since we had Noriega, 30 plus years ago, prosecuted in this country, and a lot of things have changed since then. So, if you're the prosecutors, this is an extraordinarily high pressure case. Every little move is going to be scrutinized very, very carefully. They're going to have to take extraordinary measures to make sure he is safe in custody, and that the proceeding goes by like, in an orderly fashion. But there's a lot of, outside influences now coming in over this, including all of the concerns and anger from foreign countries about his abduction. For them, the prosecutors in the courtroom, they're going to need to deal with those arguments about how he got there and whether he's entitled to head of state immunity. But they're probably on pretty good footing. And I imagine, they're going to be focused on the 4 corners of the courtroom and the 4 corners of the indictment and proving up their allegations.
And how would a prosecutor, how would you construct this argument, laying out the charges which have been laid out against him now, considering the fact that he can always say that he was kidnapped from his home in his home country by the U.S.?
Well, look, the response is going to be, and I think this is a legally sound response in our system, is going to be, it doesn't really matter how he got to the court system. The judges in our courts, the federal courts, are not supposed to be figuring out how they got here, whether that was legitimate or not. If you are in U.S. custody, then the courts treat you as such, and you are, an inmate unless and until you are acquitted.
I know that your purvey is, of course, not the International Criminal Court, but I want to get your reaction to what we've been hearing from around the world. Many people saying that the ICC in The Hague should be handling a case like this. After all, the ICC is investigating Venezuela. Your thoughts on that?
Well, look, personally, I actually feel, pretty favorably toward international courts and international institutions, but I think I'm an outlier in the U.S. Our government has not really looked that favorably upon the ICC. We don't cooperate with it. And, for better or worse, and I would say it's generally not a favorable trend, but for better or worse, our U.S. governments feel like these are things that we should take care of ourselves and without the involvement of foreign allies.
If you were in this courtroom, what would you expect the defense strategy to be here? His lawyers are expected to contest the very legality of his arrest. And we heard that Maduro today told the judge, I've been kidnapped.
Yeah, so they're going to make that argument in some capacity. Whether it will be successful, I think it will be unsuccessful, but they will make that argument that he's not properly before the court, that he's entitled to some sort of head of state immunity. That will take some time. Assuming that is resolved against him, then he has the options that are available to any defendant to challenge the government's case, challenging every single element of the offenses that they charged against him. And I imagine there would be a couple of pretty conventional strategies. One would be, since he is alleged to be at the top of a very large conspiracy, he may argue, well, I really didn't know anything about the things that you're talking about. I wasn't that involved. I wasn't aware of everything going on. How persuasive that is remains to be seen. And secondarily, that the witnesses against him are likely to be other participants, or at least there are likely to be some participants in the alleged conspiracy, maybe some political dissidents. Mm-hmm. He would argue those people are biased against me. They're currying favor with the government to get rid of their own or mitigate their own criminal responsibility, and that you shouldn't trust them. Both of these are very standard defense strategies in large conspiracy cases.
Right. Yeah, it's a fascinating case to be, for sure. Former federal prosecutor Ankush Khardori, we appreciate your time and your insights tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.